Welcome to Author Promotion Show. And again, very happy and glad to start this episode with you. That's the first episode of Author Promotion Live. By this time, we had pre-recorded video, but my purpose was having you here, and everybody can have their comments because I see my audience really wish to connect with my interviewees. So I said it's better I have it live so we have more interaction together and we can learn from each other. And I know many of you are authors and wish to be a published author or already an author. So today we have Cindy, Dr. Cindy. I tried to remember her last name, Dr. Cindy Childress, and she's doing ghostwriting. So whoever wish to publish her book but doesn't know how to write the book, then she can help. She can also help you to get the bestseller status. I know there are lots of tricky parts to get the bestseller status, especially in Amazon.com. And she's not only a ghostwriter, she's also book editor for entrepreneurs. And her business communication, with her business, actually, she took bronze for most innovative company of the year 2020, the Stevie Awards for women in business. I'm very happy to have you here. I know we are connected to so many authors and they can use your information and they see how you can help them. And, we have a really great resource today. So if you have any comments, if you need any help, she's here to help you. Hi, Cindy.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, Cindy,
Oh, my kitty cat.
Wow, look at your cat.
That's Principessa.
I love it. Oh. Cats usually are very silent. They don't make
Yes,
noises. Yeah.
she won't.
Yeah. So, Cindy, how did you become ghostwriter? I know you already did some co-authoring with others, but then you decided to write for others. How did it happen?
Yes, I had started a copywriting business actually, and I also did content writing. So, writing SEO rich blogs and that kind of thing. And then I happened to edit a book for a friend of mine. And I stopped and thought I enjoyed that project a lot more than the copywriting. And then the other thing is, before I became an entrepreneur, I'd done some technical writing. So I'd written some training manuals that were really, like 60,000 words. I mean, a book can be not even that long. And so when I edited that book, I felt like even though I made it much better, if I had been there from the start and planned out the whole thing, I could have made it even better than I was able to in my role as editor. And I could have helped her have a better draft faster. So that was in 2017. And so that April, I announced that I was a ghostwriter. And within the first month, I found 3 clients, 2 of which became Amazon bestsellers, and my ghostwriting career was born.
Wow, beautiful. And I see some of your authors could go on stage, right? TEDx and other stages. That's beautiful.
Yes, and I also have an affiliate program with 2 different speaker coaches. One is a TEDx speaker coach, and another one is a story slam coach. And so I really, when I'm working with authors, we're also thinking about where in your book do you have a chapter or even a section of a chapter that could become the signature talk that goes along with your book. It's really smart to be thinking about those things together.
So do you so you help them to be on the stage for TEDx and a slim, what was it?
Story Slam. Well, I have,
Seriously.
yes, I have friends that are experts in each of those things, and I connect
Beautiful.
those clients with those other experts.
Yeah, I know something, Cindy, about the authoring is not only writing. I know after you write, then what? What are you going to do with that? Usually, you need a lot of marketing and exposure because people need to see you as an author, especially when you are very fresh in authorship.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I always say that your book needs you to be the face of it so it will be successful. And that's even true of traditional publishing. You don't get a book deal and suddenly you can just hide behind a marketing plan. You still have to be the face of your book. And then I tell self publishing authors, then you do that on steroids. And so, absolutely, this requires, going on video, doing interviews like the one we're doing right now, and having your talking points ready. And then it's also about content. So I encourage them to find where on social media their readers are already hanging out. A, to do market research on what they're talking about that you can speak to and connect with them. And then B, so that you're building that audience and showing yourself as an authority and a leader to these people you want to read your book before your book comes out. It's really smart to do all those things together. Or else I've had clients who we finish their book and I'm like, yay, your book is done. When are you publishing it? And then it's like 6 months or even a year later, because then they start building their audience. You can do it that way, but I would recommend, if you don't already have an audience, do this in concurrence with writing your book.
Exactly, that's what I did.
Love it.
Yes, actually, yeah, you already read my book as well, right?
Yes.
So for my first book, I just realized I just publish it. That's it. Without knowing about the publishing strategy, I just saw it on the Amazon. My
Mm-hmm.
cover was awful,
Mm-hmm.
and my description, everything messed up. I didn't know actually what to do with this, and then I just sit there, see if somebody can buy my book, and nobody except my friends, families buy the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure. I said that the problem that you faced when you haven't been building an audience and maybe you didn't write your book with a particular audience in mind, then what happens when you launch the book is nobody was expecting it. They're not looking forward to it. They don't know about it. So then nobody buys it, nobody reviews it, and then you could feel like it was not a good use of your time and resources. You
Yeah.
don't want to happen.
Great. Thank you so much for continuing this. Look at here. We have some comments from Robin. I know everybody was so confused why I was froze. I don't know why this happened. uh, so, Robin, thank you for being here. I know she said she's frozen. That's great. Somebody actually watched this show. I'm so happy we have you here. All right. So, Cindy, I have a lot of questions about this. First of all, what is your experience in ghostwriting? Uh, to whom you recommend ghostwriting, and to whom you recommend to just do their own writing?
Yes. So my best ghostwriting clients, interestingly, are usually men. And there are some interesting reasons for that. So they're usually men who this book is meant to be part of their marketing strategy. So they might be a little bit emotionally invested because they want the recognition that comes with being a successful author, but they're not terribly interested in the writing process itself. That's why they know they would never do it if it was left to them to figure out how to write the book. So someone like me can just take all that worry out of the way so they can continue to their next step. And then who is a good fit for writing your book yourself? Now, this does kind of fall along gender, just because a lot of the 15-minute calls that I have, I will see that they'll say, the women will say, but what if somebody finds out I didn't write my book myself? And another thing is, the women seem a little bit more interested in connecting with their storytelling and trying to make a connection with the people that they are writing the book for. And so they really would like to do it themselves if only they could. And that's actually why I created my signature course, Crank Out Your Book in 8 weeks.
Yes, I see. I don't know why most women are writers. We have exceptional men writer as well, but women are more into it, writing and reading books. So, tell me about the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. I know myself, I never done traditional. I always done self-publishing. That's why I'm asking, because
Mhm.
I guess I never went to that road because I was thinking maybe, I don't know, it's too much. You have to find a publisher, you have to do lots of marketing yourself as well. So I don't know, because I haven't gone there. What's the difference? Do you recommend self-publishing or traditional publishing?
This is a super question, and it really depends on what your goals are and the current size of your audience. So, if you have an audience, an engaged audience in the high 5 figures or 6 figures, then you may be a good candidate for a traditional book deal. And I'm particularly talking about nonfiction authors. So for fiction, the size of your audience is less of a concern usually. It's always a bonus if you have one, but that's not as, but for nonfiction, if you don't have in the high 6 figures, the lowest number I've ever heard a book agent say was 30,000, but that would be a special case. Like if you only had 30,000, they'd have to be really engaged, and it would have to be a very niche book. And that's because these traditional publishers are generally looking for somebody with an audience size such that they feel confident they could sell, 10 to 20,000 books. And when you don't have that audience size, it's very unlikely that you will find a nonfiction book deal. Not impossible. There are boutique publishers that may have smaller audiences themselves, where there's a smaller print run that could still be successful for them. And that's something that you would have to research. Just look in the publishing information in the front of the book, select the one that you want to write that are similar to yours, and see where the publisher is. Google them, find out what the process is. Usually they'll only accept agented submissions, which means you need a book agent first. Occasionally, for some more boutique presses, they may allow direct author submissions, and then just look at everything they list that they ask for a submission. Sometimes they want the whole manuscript. Sometimes they just want a query letter and a synopsis, maybe a marketing plan, that kind of thing. Just find out what they need and do it. Also, expect that this process will take at least 2 years from
Wow.
getting an agent to your book being released, and it can change all the time. You can even get an agent, and then if they're not able to sell your book to a publisher, you may be under contract with them for 2 years, and then the contract ends and your book reverts back to you, and you still don't have a book.
Oh my goodness, that's too much process.
For a lot of people it is. And I like to educate my clients, because a lot of people, when they come to me, they don't know which one is appropriate for them. And I do have someone I'm working with right now on her submission materials for agent queries, because she does have a big audience. So it is reasonable that that might be a path for her. But I'm a big fan of self-publishing because it is way more democratic. You don't have a bunch of people that can tell you no. And today is Martin Luther King Day. And I'll say, particularly for getting more voices from people of color or from diverse experiences out there, it can be harder to get through the traditional publishing machine. But for the self-publishing machine, you are the one who tells yourself, yes, I'm doing it. My voice needs to be heard. I am putting my story out there, and then do it and, market it. And so, I love it because it can happen much more quickly. And also, you can be successful with a much smaller audience because for nonfiction, this is true even of traditional publishing. Most nonfiction authors do not pay their bills and their mortgage and all that from their book sales. They do
No.
something else. If you look at the back of the book, they're a professor or a teacher. They have another business. They're a consultant. There's something else. So when you don't even think of any notions that this is going to be your ticket, what you do is you look at this is a way to bring more people to the offer after the book. And that is where you turn your readers into clients and customers so that your nonfiction book is a great use of your time and it's perfectly lucrative to you, whereas maybe it wouldn't have been to a publisher that's not selling your course or selling your consulting. That's your business.
Actually, for my own book, for the first one, I see, you need to have your readers with you. So sometimes when you just publish your book, and then even if you get the bestseller, that's it, done. Your book gonna be die there, like,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot be up there all the time. If you want to be bestseller all the time, or just break the Amazon chart, this kind of thing, so you need a lot of marketing. And another way is to have an audience, big audience, and consistent program that you can actually advertise your book, or somehow this book is useful for that audience. So let's say I check so many books these days. One of them, I like it. It starts with egg. That's in my niche, fertility. And I was wondering how this book is bestseller all the time, because are they doing marketing? What are they doing? The point with the health book, like in my field right now, because my first one was not health issue related. This one is health. And then I just realized Amazon rejected my ad 4 times. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not easy. Just as warning, if you have some book which is uh, actually recommending a, a treatment or cure, is not really easy to do the advertising in Amazon, because you have a specific clients with treatment and recommendations. Is not going to work in Amazon unless you just do it, the advertisement, you do it outside the Amazon. Even with that, it is not really worth to just pay for advertising all the time. Then I realized, okay, this book, it starts with egg. How come they are always bestseller? Then I realized she didn't use the self-publishing. She used the traditional publishing. They have their own platforms to publish, to actually advertise the book. She has a big audience in Facebook. So that's why she has a business behind the scene. So everybody knows her book, and it's a useful book, of course, but it's not only being useful, because there are lots of great books in Amazon. They are not seen. People can't see them
Mm-hmm.
because they are not up there all the time. They are not in Amazon chart. They cannot do the marketing all the time. So what is your own suggestion for these authors?
Yes, well, you hit upon part of it. So, a Facebook group is a great suggestion to build your own audience. And another thing we were talking about before we started recording is the power of beta readers. And one of my clients was on the top 100 on barnesandnoble.com in real estate and finance for 10 months. And you don't do that by just having your book free on one day and having all your friends and family buy it that day. That's a great way to be a bestseller on Amazon and, pick some categories that are not too competitive. And it's worth doing because then you can call yourself a bestseller. So do that. But don't stop there, as Pantea said, because otherwise your book stops there. So what he did is get a critical mass of people to buy his book and review his book. And another thing he did is something that some traditional publishers do, where you have your book selling on more than one platform. So if your book, you can ask someone to carry your book in a store so that it's checking out with a barcode. And those of you, really, I would say anywhere in the world, there will be bookstores where you can ask them to carry your book on consignment. And Barnes & Noble, by the way, is just recently starting new local outreach. And so they've become newly interested in some local, carrying some books of local authors that may be self-published. And I'm sorry, I'm about to get off topic, but one more thing before I stop where I'm going here. When you do, if you want to pursue that, it's important not to use Kindle Direct or CreateSpace Publishing. You are going to want to have your book produced on Ingram Spark or Lulu.com. There's a lot of other places to go, but if you're exclusively publishing on Amazon, then those opportunities are not going to be available for those books. And I think I'm almost off topic here, so I'm going to let you chime in.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to add something here because I've done both. Everybody asks me, why don't you do it? Why don't you have the print version in Amazon yet? I tell you why. Because my experience says it's okay to have the Kindle one on Amazon, so you can actually sell it there and be bestseller, right?
Yes.
But for your print version, I don't recommend Amazon, because then you're going to be exclusive there. There is an option there. It's called distributors. So external distributors shouldn't access to your Amazon account, I mean your book, because then you cannot sell your book in libraries. That's the thing. You will know it after experiencing this with Amazon. Not everybody know it. Yeah. So because I couldn't do this for my first book. For my second book, because my second book was awesome. I had lots of reviews on it and I worked hard on it, but still I couldn't do it because it was not in Ingram Spark. This time I put it in Ingram, so I will publish the print version there. But I have another question here, even for my own curiosity.
Sure, please.
You can have I know for audio version, Audible is there. Audacity, I can actually add it in there, which is okay. But you can have the hardcover and the print version. So you can have different ISBN for different versions of your book, right? So I was thinking maybe you can have the print version in Amazon, is still there, but still you can have your book in Ingram, in libraries, in hardcover. Can we do this? Do you recommend this?
That's an interesting question. So I've not had a client who has done that. However, you are correct. The USBN number and the barcode are going to be exclusive to wherever you have put your book for sale. So if you use one ISBN and barcode on Amazon for a paperback copy, and another one on Ingram Spark for a hardback copy, I don't think that there would be any problem with that. I think it might be a little bit of extra time because you're going to have to build it out on both platforms. But really, it should be the same information that you're entering and just a matter of pasting it in.
So it's possible. So we can do this. It's possible. So don't worry. But, I know. Did you have any clients did the hardcover?
Yes, I actually recommend that everybody do the hardcover because it doesn't cost that much extra money. You do need an additional ISBN barcode, and your book cover designer will have to, and your book formatter will have to create two different versions for the different sizes of the cover versus the paperback. But that's not very much expense, because really for them, that's just a matter of clicking some buttons to change some dimensions. So they just need you to give them the dimensions, and then they can create it without much difficulty. And then the benefit is, it looks more prestigious to have a hardcover, because in traditional publishing, they will only give you a hardcover if there's an anticipation of a lot of sales. Because what they'll do is release the hardcover first and try to hit bestseller with that. And then the paperback will be released later. And
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so if your book isn't released in hardcover, if you're a snob and you're traditional publishing, you will be very hurt and disappointed that they didn't give your book a hardcover. But with self-publishing, you can give yourself a hardcover.
Yeah, beautiful. The problem with the copy, I show you if I have mine here. I think my daughter take it. I order my paperback for my last book, and the paperback they send it with Amazon. The cover was just ripped off,
Oh.
and that was really disappointing. I was really sad, and it didn't work. It was not worth it. Just ask them to send it over. I mean,
Mm.
then I was realized this time I'm not gonna do this, because you work hard for your book, especially when you have a big book. Like
Mm-hmm.
for lighter book is easier, but when you have something more than 150 pages, then I don't recommend just do the paperback, because it needs to be protected, and especially when you do the shipment in winter, be careful, because you're gonna lose it. So that's why cover is much more protected, and it's like as you said, it give you a lot of prestige to that book. There are lots of things we can talk about, and I'm so sorry we missed it in the middle, but still, I think we're gonna add some few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If my audience have any question, Robin or anybody is here, please let me know. We can ask her. And right now, um, Cindy, if you have any recommendation for new authors, please just give us some tips. Thanks.
Sure. The first thing that I will say is look for places where you can be a podcast guest. And when you are a podcast guest, you will be invited. Usually they'll just ask you, what are you giving away? And so, you might, depending on what your strategy is at that point in your launch, you may be giving away the digital copy for reviews, or you might give the first chapter away in hopes that they will buy the rest of it. Or maybe you're just getting them on your email list to put them in a funnel to get them to the book, whatever that is, because these are, when you're an expert in your topic, there are shows where people are looking for experts on those topics. And maybe if there's a show that has a critical mass and like Entrepreneur on Fire, John Lee Dumas's show now, I believe it costs $1,500 for you to go on there. You don't have to chase that kind of thing. Look for smaller niche podcasts that are going to be, that's where you're partnering and you're helping them. They're looking for great
Like my
content.
podcast.
You have great content. So you're helping each other. And another thing you can do is look for opportunities to be a guest contributor or a guest blogger. And again, looking at micro influencers, people who are looking for great content. You have great content. It's very compatible. And in this way, you can get access to other people's audiences that are built for your book and your offer.
Beautiful. I just want to add something about this podcast. I know the power of connections really, I understand this with my first book, even the first book. What happened? I published it. And it's okay. I didn't know about the publishing, but I had a published book. I went to a show to watch another show. And the producer told me in the break, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm an author. I just published a book." And he said, "Where is your book?" I said, "This is my book." And he said, "Do you want to be on the show?" I said, "Yes." That's amazing. When you have something published, then will be connected to many people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was connected to a great network, local network in Canada. And then I got few Facebook lives, a lot of exposure. I could do the speaking gig. So you see, it gives you a lot of exposure, and even you can go to a podcast or everywhere else. So let's see. Somebody says, yes, new author. Somebody is new author. And Robin says, I don't have any question right now. But at least they are actually listening to this show, and they used what we talk about, the publishing, about the new authors. Don't be afraid. If you want to publish your book, just do it. Even if it's not perfect, we are here to help you. And Cindy actually help you to write this because I know it's not really easy. Do you recommend I tell? Do you recommend I tell? I don't know. What do you mean? What I recommend is just write your book, because I know life is short, isn't it, Cindy? And the great excitement that you see from uh, watching your book publish give you lots of accomplishment. And this is a great feeling that you are creative, you created something. Especially during this COVID, we cannot do too much thing, so that the best way is just write your book. And Cindy has 8 weeks program, and I like you to talk about this a little bit for a few minutes. You already give off something, but please tell me for my audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Crank Out Your Book in 8 weeks is currently open for enrollment. And this is my signature 8-week program. What we do is start with figuring out what book you're going to write now. So, if you have more than one topic in mind, we narrow that down to something you can tackle in one book and figure out how long should your book be, and even what should be included in your book. Because a lot of times first-time authors may not be exactly sure what kind of book it is. Is it a self-help book, or is it a topical information book, or is it a memoir? So we think through those things to get you figured out what kind of book you're going to write. And then we create your table of contents, which we do according to exactly who your target reader is and the reason they are looking for your book now. And then we start the beginning of the book with you responding to the problem. That's the reason they're looking for your solution. So you meet them where they are, and then you take them on a journey such that by the end of the table of contents, by the end of your book, you have given them enough quick wins along the way, and they are ready to continue interacting with you in your future offers. So this looks different for different business models, but the idea is to give them a lead magnet. I think I mentioned that at least once before on this call. So you find a way to get them from the book to your list, and then you have offers for them. And there can be future offers too. They don't have to all be created now. You're getting people to your list so that as you create those additional, maybe a guided book study if you're just starting out, maybe a retreat where all your authors can hang out with you, your readers can hang out with you and work on some things together. Maybe that turns into a course. Maybe some of you already are course creators, and so you want a book as the the inexpensive way for people to check you out and decide if they want your course or not, and you get them in that way. So, we figure out what that's going to look like, and then we plan the book to get the readers from the problem to the solution, and then we start cranking it out, and I teach you how to be your own ghost writer.
Beautiful. I love that. That's the purpose of your book. Have a lead magnet, because you don't want to lose your readers. You can have very strong interaction with them, and because you want to be useful, you want to
Mhm.
see that your what you've written is already there. And I have a great question from one of my audience. He said, do you recommend I tell my audience that I'm writing a book so I bring them on my journey? Sure, you do it. Because the point is, if you don't, it's too late to write a book, publish it, and then tell your audience. You need to build your audience even before publishing the book. What I did with my last book, I had naturally conceived. Like even 6 months before publishing, it was in pre-order. Pre-ordering is a totally different story. I don't recommend it to everybody because it's just different story, and with the Amazon algorithm, it's kind of complicated, but it's good for people who already published their book. They have their audience, they have podcasts or everything that can connect to their audience. I had this opportunity, fortunately. I mean, I created this opportunity to have my audience. So even before publishing my book, I hit the bestseller in pre-order, and then I hit the bestseller after pre-order publishing. So as I said, if you want to write a book, have the audience and a business first, right? And
Yeah.
then, as Cindy says, you can actually create a lead magnet. By the time you publish your book, you have your purpose ready. Yes.
Yes, beautifully put. I couldn't agree more. And I'll say that as you bring the readers on your journey, be strategic about that. So don't let it all hang out. If this is truly the worst day in your author life, you know, package that so that you seem more confident when you go to the people that you're trying to get to follow you. So I would think strategically when you're a few months out, to say things like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm about to send my manuscript to the editor. I hope she doesn't, put it through the lawnmower or something. And then when you get your edits back, you're like, oh, I'm so excited. She gave me so many great ideas. This is going to be a lot of work, and I'd really appreciate your encouragement. And so what you're doing is you're getting people to encourage you, but you're not doing it like being whiny and complainy. And also ask their opinion. People love to give their opinion. So you can create polls. Maybe you're not sure what to cover in your book, or even if you know exactly what you're covering in your book, ask people what they want you to cover anyway, because when they give you their opinion, they're going to be invested in what you're doing. They're going to want to see it when it comes out to see if you did their idea or not. And same thing with book covers. You may already know which design you're going to go with, but go on social media and show 2, 3, or 4 and ask people to vote. You might even get surprised and change your mind when you see the votes come in. But also you're giving people another opportunity to do something that takes very little time, but makes them feel invested. And keep track. I mean, seriously, keep a spreadsheet of all those people that are liking and commenting on those posts. And that becomes people that you can reach out to when you're launching your book to ask for help.
Yes, Cindy. I love it. I love this interview. I mean, you actually pointed very informative way that any new um, self-publisher need to know, because as you said, everybody just published their book. It's a long process. For the first time, as soon as you have more experience, that's much easier, because for me it's so easy to write a book by myself. If you have contributors, it's a different story, because then you need the feedback, which is good. I love contributing with other people as well, but then you learn what to do. If you have a table of contents, as she said, then you know exactly what is in topic. For my last book, Naturally Conceived, what I did, I started myself first. I wrote it. I structured my book. And then I said, there is something missing. I need contributors because I'm not fertility doctor. I'm not acupuncturist. So I need a lot of inputs from them. So that's why I created my podcast. Then my book totally changed. You see,
Wow.
and I added more values through this interviews to my book. So you see, if you have audience, because you don't want to read your book yourself, you need audience. People should read your book. So it's great idea to actually ask them what they want, because these are the real people reading your book. And then you can customize your book based on those feedbacks and add more values.
I could not agree more. That was beautifully said.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cindy. We had like 15 minutes over our time, but because we had some delay in between, I said that's fine. And I have a lot of questions, but we don't have so much time to talk about it. Thank you so much. And just want to say, what is your, oh, I have it here. I can show it here. Instagram, you can connect with her, Cindy Childress, Ph.D. Facebook, Cindy Childress. And do you have a face? Yes, and you have website, cindychildress.com. So easy. You can see it here on the screen. And her program is called Crank Out Your Book in 8 Weeks. You can find it in her website, cindychildress.com.
Yes, beautiful. And it's also, if you want the quick link, you can go to bit.ly/8weeksbook.
Oh, that's hope you could tell me before. I could write it here. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all audience listening to this. Hopefully, it could help you a lot and you can start writing your book right now and enjoying seeing your book as published, which is great enjoyment, I know. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to end this with a great ending.